Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Opposition's media briefing this Thursday, the 23rd of May, 2024, discussing widespread corruption and public utilities issues. Today, our presenters are MP Arnold Ram, Shadow for Sport and Community Development, and Senator Anil Roberts, Senate Shadow for Sports, Energy and Social Development. Thank you for joining us. We will begin shortly. In the meanwhile, please share the live.
As you walk with us to the part of life, you will never have to walk alone. Come on!
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a rising sun.
Look for the rising sun.
And the sweet silver songs of the sky.
Put God in front, and we'll walk behind.
Walk on through the wind. Walk on through the rain.
Door to door and hand in
Though
hand.
your dreams be tossed and blown, walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone.
So put your hands up high and let's reach for the sky for the rising sun. Come walk with us. We'll walk with you, and you'll never walk alone. Never walk alone. Never walk alone. Never walk alone. You'll never walk alone with the UNC.
We stand united in the belief that if you empower community, the community empowers the country.
We are the party that gave every child a secondary school education since 2001.
By building more schools in 11 years than others did in 40. We believe that no child,
Rich or poor, should be left behind.
which is why we give every 4-month student a laptop to expand their minds and their dreams,
We are the party that put police cars back on the streets.
and gave the police a $1,000 bonus because we believe that we should support the persons who are protecting you.
We are the party that reduced the murder rate to its lowest in 14 years. We expanded GATE, stopped the property tax, and increased maternity leave.
We are the party that invested in you and your community by investing in schools, community centers, lighted parks, 24-hour health centers, and the most extensive road repair program in decades.
We believe that education is always a solution and that no one should have to pick between sending their child to school or buying food.
We are the party that works for you. We are the first responders in every situation, working to deliver a better standard of living for you and your family.
And most importantly, we have confidence in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a campaign, it's a movement based on building communities and strengthening families.
Come out and join us and together we will get the nation working and moving again. Our children will once again have access to gate and technology
We will improve healthcare.
by cutting the time it takes to see a doctor in an emergency. We will establish a senior citizen unit in every major hospital and staff the hospital with the doctors and nurses you need to create a first-class healthcare system. We will focus on creating high-paying jobs, fixing our laws to remove red tape, and ensuring that you and your family are safer. We will reduce corporate taxes to jumpstart the economy, create a special investment zone along the East-West corridor, and work with entrepreneurs to build a digital economy. This is an investment in your community to move the nation forward and get TNT working again.
Whether you are from 4th Street in Barataria to Railway Road in Dow Village, from Green Street in Tunapuna to Clark Road in DB, from La Hoqueta to Moruga, from Mayaro to Scarborough, we are one people with the same dreams of a better tomorrow. And when we stand together, we win together. We are UNC and proud.
Everybody now, let's go. Come on, come on. Hey. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on. Whoa, oh, yeah, yeah.
It's time to make a difference. It's time to turn that page. We got to do the right things if we want brighter days. Cause things ain't getting easy and the road ahead is tough. It's up to you and I to make the madness stop.
Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices, and they implementing more tax for the sake of our twin nation and the youths of the next generation. Let's stand united, show we not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we're the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we're the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah.
Everybody now. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah.
From a distance, look at the picture. Tell me what you see.
What you see?
An abstract of destruction to destroy you and me. We got to do the right thing. We got to make that move.
Make that
Cause if we don't act fast on this, we're the ones who lose.
Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices, and they implementing more tax for the sake of our twin nation and the youths of the next generation. Let's stand united, show we not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we're the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we're the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah.
Everybody now. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah.
From a distance, look at the picture. Tell me what you see.
What you see?
An abstract of destruction to destroy you and me. We got to do the right thing. We got to make that move.
Make that
Cause if we don't act fast on this, we're the ones who lose.
Every day the things getting harder, and every
Good morning and welcome to the UNC headquarters in Chaguanas for this Thursday morning live press conference. The UNC keeping you informed about national issues as we join with the nation in saying thank you to Almighty, thank you to the police, thank you to whoever worked hard to free Anissa Hussain safe and sound back with her family. We also commiserate and take a moment to show respect to all those families who have been victims of crime, murder, mayhem, home invasions, battery, the babies who passed away in the NICU unit. We're still waiting for the so-called investigation to tell us why our little angels died. And we take a moment to say a prayer for all of our citizens. Our country is in distress. Our country is in pain. And the United National Congress stands here ready to provide the country with solutions, to provide the country with individuals who are passionate, who are patriots, who are intelligent, who are qualified, who are experienced, who know what it means to run a country properly with accountability, transparency. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our first presenter here from UNC headquarters. He is a man who played sport his entire life, a family man recently bringing his second child with his wife into this world, a member of parliament who shows love and consideration for all his constituents. He's a sport fanatic, a lawyer, an attorney who has fought pro bono for those most in need. He is the member of parliament for Caroni Central. I bring to the podium the Honorable Arnold Ram.
Thank you, Senator Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, fellow citizens, members of the media all, I say a pleasant good morning to you. I stand before you today deeply concerned about the pressing issues that are affecting our beloved nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Today I want to address two critical issues. Now there are many issues affecting our nation, but I just want to address two that every Trinidadian and Tobagonian whose lives have been detrimental or affected by the quality of these two issues. Firstly, the escalating crime rates, and secondly, the persistent water crisis. In relation to the issue of crime, the scourge of crime in Trinidad and Tobago has reached alarming levels. You all will certainly agree with me. Our nation, once a beacon of hope and prosperity in the Caribbean, now grapples with an escalating crime wave that threatens our very fabric and our way of life. Crime in Trinidad and Tobago has reached unprecedented levels. This year, we have witnessed a surge in violent crimes that has left our communities in fear and our streets unsafe. In fact, no way is safe again in either the daylight or in the night for us to retreat. It is not uncommon to hear about mass murders every other weekend or every other night. In fact, I heard last night that there were some mass shootings in the Arima area, about daily robbery encounters, horrific video footage of persons being attacked in their homes in the evening hours, home invasions, motor vehicle theft, etc. This government has taken a soft approach to dealing with crime. It's either the Prime Minister or his Minister of National Security. They are both soft. The Prime Minister, who normally beats his chest about being the head of the National Security Council, he lacks the willpower, the intelligence, the fortitude, and the diligence to deal with crime. After all, he has a Minister of National Security who is constantly sleeping on the job. To add insult to injury and an already bad situation to rub salt in the wounds of this nation and those affected by crime, his cabinet has reappointed Ms. Erla Harewood Christopher as Commissioner of Police for another year. In fact, they have renewed her contract for another year, when clearly the good lady lacks the competence and capabilities to get the job done and to create a dent on crime and criminal activities. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the murder rate last year increased by some 18% compared to the previous year, with over 500 murders being reported by December. This is just not a start. but a grim reminder, ladies and gentlemen, of the lives lost and the families who have been shattered. A particularly alarming trend is a recent surge in kidnappings. The abduction of Anisha Hussein, a young woman, has sent shockwaves throughout the nation. The case is now unraveling, as reports this early morning that she was released in the vicinity of the Carney roundabout and taken to the St. Joseph police station. And this highlights the pervasive insecurity that permeates all our daily lives. In the past year alone, there have been over 50 reported kidnappings, a stark increase from previous years. Our neighborhood shopping areas, our once bustling hubs of community life, are no longer safe. The recent spate of robberies right close by here at the Mid-Center Mall is a testament to this. Just last month, a daylight robbery resulted in injury of several shoppers and the loss of significant property. Such incidents underscore the failure of our security systems and measures and the urgent need for comprehensive reform. At the heart of our security apparatus, ladies and gentlemen, is the Office of the Police of Commissioner. Unfortunately, under the tenure and leadership of Commissioner Ms. Erla Harewood-Christopher, the effectiveness of our police service has come into serious question. Despite the increased budget allocations and resources, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has struggled to make a significant impact on reducing crime rates. In 2023 national budget, the government allocated some $2.64 billion to the Ministry of National Security, a substantial portion of which was earmarked to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. This allocation, ladies and gentlemen, was intended for the acquisition of new equipment, of improved training programs, and increased personnel. However, despite these resources, the public confidence in our law enforcement agencies is waning, as evidenced by the rising crime statistics and the visible lack of police presence in high-risk areas. In fact, when you read the newspaper reports coming out yesterday, it indicates that there has been a surge or an increase in the provision of private security in many neighborhoods. Many neighborhoods are resorting to coming together and ensuring that they pay for private security, something that they are already paying taxes to the state to do. They are now forced to pay private security so that they can have a good night's rest. That is not fair. That is incompetence at the highest level, ladies and gentlemen. So in addition to the impending property tax that you now have to pay, the impending TNTEC rates, which the government and the cabinet has a decision to make on, you are now forced to pay for private security. And let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, all those ministers, or most of those ministers, have state-sponsored security. They ride with state-sponsored security. They, themselves, their wives and their families. I have no issues with that, but let it be for all of Trinidad and Tobago. This is further compounded, ladies and gentlemen, by the Trinidad and Tobago police staff, who are complaining that they are under-resourced in their ability to fight crime. And we have seen where this government has put aside some $80 million to a British firm to hunt political opponents. Like many in the population would know, they have never had access to police vehicles when they are called out on emergencies. The inefficiency is not just in crime prevention, but also in investigation and resolution of cases. The detection rate is an all-time low, standing at some 4%. The backlog of unresolved crime continues to grow, leaving victims without justice and emboldening criminals. It is imperative that we hold our Prime Minister and his cabinet colleagues accountable and demand a higher standard of performance from those entrusted with our safety. Similarly, the Minister of National Security has been conspicuously silent and inactive in addressing these issues. Despite numerous promises and policy announcements, there has been little tangible progress. Our security strategies seem reactive rather than proactive, often responding to crises after rather than preventing them. This lack of decisive action, ladies and gentlemen, is unacceptable and calls for a re-evaluation of our national security priorities. Looking back over the past decade, the crime data points a troubling picture. From 2015 to 2023, the murder rate has more than doubled. The number of reported gangs has similarly doubled, with the number of homicides rising from some 350 to almost 600 annually. Similarly, incidents of robberies, of assaults, of rape, and of kidnapping have seen significant increases. This trend indicates not only a failure of current policies, but a failure of a government, a failure of a systematic issues that requires comprehensive and sustained intervention. I now turn to the second issue, which has to do with the water crisis which we face. As we confront the menace of crime, we also address the equally distressing water crisis being experienced by all of Trinidad and Tobago, especially those in opposition areas. Access to clean and reliable water is a fundamental human right. I say water is a necessity, yet thousands of households in Trinidad and Tobago are denied this essential service. Despite grand plans to restructure, which is the PNM guys, to send home thousands of WASA workers, the Minister of Public Utilities and the incompetent Board of Directors of the Water and Sewerage Authority have been notoriously inefficient in introducing policies aimed at delivering a consistent water supply. And despite paying their bills, many citizens receive sporadically, if at all, a water supply. Record will show that the PNM has made promises way back since 6 decades ago. And if you look at your screen, you will see that Trinidad, it says, Trinidad likely to resolve water problem by 1960. This was the PNM back in 1958, 6 decades ago, promising water, and they are going to solve it by 1960. But we don't have to look back so far. Just look at recent statements made as well. In June 2022, and we look at the screen again, the first item, 70% of the population to get water 24 supply with improvement plans by 2024. We're already in 2024. And if you look at the bottom, the last article in March this year, improved water supply coming soon. So they have systematically promised a better supply, a 24-hour supply of water to this nation, and it yet to materialize. PNM promises never materializes. So in June 2022, the Minister of Public Utilities promised that over 70% of the population would have a 24/7 supply by 2024. Again in March this year, the Minister is promising an improved water supply. However, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Reports indicate that many areas, especially rural communities, will still face chronic water shortages. And we have seen when many UNC-controlled areas are now put on a schedule. I also have that schedule to share with you later, but that is what is happening. Only UNC areas are now put on a schedule. WASA has been riddled with inefficiencies and financial mismanagement. An audit report by the Public Accounts Committee revealed that millions of dollars allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance were unaccounted for or misappropriated. You hear that? Unaccounted for or misappropriated. That sounds familiar. When you look at the $3 billion also missing, which was picked up by the Attorney General, which is now playing out in the public domain. Additionally, aging infrastructure and lack of proactive maintenance has exacerbated water delivery issues. According to a 2023 report by the Trinidad Express, WASA loses approximately 50% of its water production due to leaks and pipeline ruptures, costing the nation millions annually. And I figure this has not been addressed, and this has not been addressed particularly because the minister, by his own admission, didn't know that water leaks will cause a decrease in pressure and the inability to reach high-level areas. He, the minister, honorable minister, only discovered this about 1.5 years ago. So that probably addresses the issue why these leaking infrastructure and maintenance issues were given a back burner. In 2023, the government secured a $315 million loan from the IDB aimed at improving water infrastructure and service delivery. The PNM continued to put the future of this nation in debt with a debt to GDP ratio of almost 92% as compared to 45% in 2015 when the United National Congress demitted office. The PNM methodology of dealing with the problem is to throw money at it, but its impact will depend on effective and transparent implementation of projects, something that the PNM does not have a good track record at. There is no guarantee that IDB loans will have a better, will result in a better water supply for you if these projects are not managed properly. And I can tell you, based on discussions with myself and others at the public consultation, they're already behind and significantly behind the scheduled timelines. Ladies and gentlemen, the issues of crime and water scarcity are not isolated problems. They are deeply interconnected and systematic of the broader failures. Our citizens deserve better. You deserve better. We deserve better. We deserve a government that prioritizes our safety and well-being, institutions that are accountable and efficient, and the future where basic needs are met reliably. We must tackle the root causes of these crises in a holistic approach. For crime, this means investing in education, something that we had universal tertiary education when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was our Prime Minister. We have to invest in job creation and community development. It also means holding our and enforcing leaders accountable and demanding better performance of this government. For the water crisis, it means ensuring transparency in the use of funds and exploring sustainable water management practices, and generally a government with the fortitude to deliver on its mandate. So it's a time for decisive action. The future of Trinidad and Tobago depends on the steps we take today. Let us unite to create a safe, more secure, and prosperous nation for all. Thank you, and may God bless Trinidad and Tobago.
Audio. But that one, we'll be right back, so don't worry. So we're not bouncing. So we're bouncing. The bouncing? Yeah. No? The bouncing that? Yeah. Good. We'll be right back, boy.
Ready, UNC headquarters, live. Good morning, thank you. We just had a little audio check. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. The number one responsibility of any government is to provide safety and security to the citizens. In Trini parlance, that is the work. That's why you ask for the work. That's the number one responsibility of a government. It's like if you cannot keep your population safe, if you fail on national security, it's like a chef being unable to cook. It's like a lifeguard being unable to swim. It's like a surgeon, neurosurgeon with shaky hands. This is totally unacceptable. The PNM has totally capitulated and failed on the fight against crime. It was a very key Christopher Rowley when he was leader of the opposition, before he went to the parliament and desecrated it with lies about Emailgate, who stated categorically that when a government ceases to be able to handle crime and wants to blame everyone else, the government is part of the problem. I put it to you, citizens, that Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM is part of the criminal problem, the crime scourge that is devastating our country today. Keith Rowley admitted this in a press conference after he spent your taxpayers' money to go all over the world enjoying himself in Ghana, no yam, to India, wearing kurta and visiting temples, when he does not do that right here in Trinidad and Tobago, when he does not visit the Diwali Nagar during Diwali to bring greetings. But that is Keith Rowley, the hypocrite that he is. On his return, he said, Prime Minister Keith Rowley, taken from the Express, The Guardian, page 7, Monday, May 20th. After the 10th homicide for the year in Tobago, Prime Minister Keith Rowley is concerned that criminal elements were now operating as if the Twin Island nation was their playground. But as Dr. Munilal said, you are the caretaker. You're in charge of the playground. So if criminals are playing as if it's their own, it means you have failed, Keith Rowley. Rowley acknowledged that crime continued to invade every part of Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley, the Prime Minister, the head of the National Security Council, is making this confession openly. And it's not followed with, I hereby resign and call an election. Indicating the Ministry of National Security was responsible for ensuring the protection and security of citizens on both islands, he said. What we are concerned about is the fact that criminals are not confined to any one part of the country. They see the nation as their playground and they look for opportunities to conduct their nefarious activities. After 9 years of his failed leadership, we, the people, the media, the country allows him to just state, I have failed. I am a failure. It has gotten worse. You are not safe. Your family is not safe. Your children are not safe. I am the Prime Minister who has presided over this situation. And then you allow him to remain as Prime Minister? Something seems illogical. Rowley continued. Rowley said, the issue of national security was the responsibility of the central government. He vowed, we will discharge that responsibility and we are prepared to work with any and all citizens. When will you discharge that responsibility? Your Minister of National Security cannot stay awake. He said on TV6 2 years ago, it is not his responsibility to keep the population safe. So you are at loggerheads with your own sleepy body bag Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines. But the situation gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the killing fields that is Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to make 7 critical points about the ongoing saga of the SSA. You have been observing that the SSA, previously SIA, Secret Intelligence Agency of National Security, Keith Rowley has said that criminal elements took it over. He also was quoted as saying that there was a threat to national security because of the imbroglio at the SSA. First and foremost, it is Keith Rowley who has overseen the SSA. The SSA has a political jurisdiction and mandate. The National Security Council overlooks it. So if Keith Rowley is saying criminal elements have invaded and taken over the SSA, then Keith Rowley and his Minister of National Security are responsible and must resign. But Rowley said the government was blindsided by the SSA issue. Really? If you are the head of the National Security Council, you are in charge of the SSA, and you are blindsided by anything taking place there, it means that you are incompetent, you are not fit for purpose, and you must resign. Rowley said, also criticizing and showing his abject hypocrisy, while in one statement saying the government was blindsided. In the Guardian, quoted from his press conference, Rowley also said that he was informed early. The Prime Minister said while the government was blindsided, it was informed early that something was amiss at the agency, which he said was approached with vigor and commitment. You can't have it both ways. If you are blindsided, it means you didn't know, you weren't aware, and it hit you like a thief in the night. It hit you by shock. But Rowley is admitting out of his own mouth that he was informed early about something going on at the SSA. But the question arises, who were you informed by, Keith Rowley? Who informed you? Who was guarding the guards? Who was spying on the spy? who was informing the executive arm, the political arm, about goings on in a national security institution. If police are investigating, the police are an independent unit. They are not a report to the political directorate. Rowley continued. He said, there is an ongoing, very serious investigation that is taking place. And as I said before, some of what has been unearthed in this investigation has been quite troublesome, with impressions of criminal conduct. Rowley also said previously, in March, when this issue came to the forefront in the media, Rowley said, and I quote, that they cited an impending threat to national security as the reason for the decision to suspend Major Best in mid-March. Let me repeat, an impending threat to national security. But I ask you, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, a serious impending threat. What does that conjure in your mind? Maybe large caches of weapons, automatic weapons, submachine guns, and an organization plotting to destabilize the country, maybe explosives, planning, criminal conduct across the board. Those are threats to national security. So I was looking on with great interest, because one must go back and realize who is Keith Rowley, first of all, which I shall do shortly. But when Keith Rowley talks to you, when his mouth moves, you know that he is lying, that he's not telling the truth. So I was waiting to see what would take place. And here in this newspaper, the Newsday, they list the charges on these three gentlemen. And it's sub judice, and I'm not going into that. But I'm dealing with Keith Rowley's words to you at the population, that there was an impending threat on national security, critical nature. Well, these charges involve 2 6-saw, which is 2 9mm gun, 2 more gun, and some ammunition that was transferred among state defense agencies, meaning police to police, but they didn't do the paperwork correct. Now, if it's a criminal charge, let the chips fall where it may. However, I do not think that charge rises to the benchmark of a critical threat of national security, that misbehavior in public office. What might reach that threshold? A prime minister going to a president to intercept an independent merit list to put a commissioner of police based on merit to keep the nation safe, and a prime minister causing the president to cause the chairman of the Police Service Commission to breach her duty and misbehave in public office, breach section 123(4) of the Constitution. The Police Service Commission then collapsed, and the Commissioner of Police, who was ranked number 12, is now the commissioner, and people are dying in the streets, in the bars, in the groceries. Kidnapping is raising and rearing its ugly head again. Home invasions all across this land. We were without a substantive commissioner of police for at least 11 months. Now we have people who are not able to manage and being extended. That is a threat to national security. Not 2 9mm between police to police, SSA to a guard unit, and police to SSA. If it's a criminal charge, so be it. But something is awry. Cabinet acted, said Keith Christopher Rowley. He said, and I quote, on the 4th point, that Cabinet, without calling Best by name, Rowley said Cabinet did not hesitate to act against those who seemingly fell short in doing their jobs, adding, we expected that we will rectify the agency to its purpose. 2 points. First of all, Rowley, what exactly did Major Best do? He has not been charged, he's been held, accusations have been heard, no accusation has stuck, he has not been charged of anything. How did you determine that he was not doing his job? And who are we to listen to you as Cabinet saying that Major Best did not do his job, so the Cabinet fired him? Okay, let's follow your track record, Rowley. Fitzgerald at Talbot, Bodybag Hines is the worst minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. He has broken records for murder rate 622 and we're moving up to 600, over 600 again. Since he has come in every arm of the national security system, from lifeguard to army to fire, everyone is under pressure. There is no service, no safety, no security. Murders, mayhem, kidnappings, everything coming back. But you have not removed him. So is Fitzgerald Hines doing his job? The economy is shattered with the worst minister of finance in history, Colin Bird, who cannot even account for $3.4 billion or $1 billion in expenditure, now scrambling to go and dig out people's eye to make sure and try to get the deficit so that he could go and borrow more money so that the PNM could corruptly take it away from future generations. I'm not seeing you firing the Minister of Finance, who is a total failure. What about health? People are going into the health institutions and they're stealing the shoes, used shoes, nurses getting robbed and beaten in the car park, rain falling inside the hospital, no medicine, no oncology drugs, people getting surgeries 3 months, 3 years later, a year and a half later, people trying to switch surgeries in order to impact people's lives. The collapse of the health sector, but the minister of death is still there. 21 to 28 babies dead in a NICU, no explanation, people crying, but your minister of health is still there. So who is the cabinet? What sin did Major Best do that you, Rowley, find? He was so incompetent he had to be fired. You have not fired the minister of education. We are failing at every level. Lowest results, worst performance in SCA, worst performance in CSEC, in CAPE, worst performance across the board, lowest enrollment in university and tertiary education, more fights, killing and stabbing in the schools than ever before, total complete failure. But you have not fired your Minister of Education. So who is this cabinet of failures to fire a man who has not been charged? What is the problem that you have with this SSA, Keith Rowley? Rowley said we expect that we will rectify and return the SSA, the agency, to its purpose. What is that purpose, Rowley? Is that purpose to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to serve and ensure that criminals cannot kidnap and abuse and terrorize our neighbors and our citizens? What is the purpose? Let's look at Keith Rowley's track record. His purpose is always about himself, to preserve his corrupt government, to stop independent agencies from performing so that he could move towards his total dictatorship, to move us into a failed state. Rowley has shown from time immemorial that any independent officer doing their duty properly, under oath, upholding the Constitution, must be removed. You must breathe the PNM Constitution. You must live the gospel of the PNM. That is the purpose of Rowley. So when Rowley says that he is removing people from the SSA to return it to its purpose, what that tells you, the population, is that whoever was there was doing their job properly, like the Auditor General, was doing their job and their oath to serve Trinidad and Tobago and not serve Rowley, and not serve his nefarious PNM, and not serve his cabinet, and not do his bidding. But Rowley wants to return the SSA to the purpose that Rowley wants. What is that purpose? Could that purpose be to spy on Kamala, to spy on UNC, to spy on dissidents in the PNM, to ensure that political opponents are thwarted, just as Maduro and Delcy do in Venezuela? Let's look at Rowley's track record. Rowley thwarted a merit list because he was not happy with a commissioner of police who he could not control. And he went there, caused the collapse of the Police Service Commission, caused the president to misbehave in public office, breach section 123(4) of the Constitution, so he could handpick a commissioner of police. We've then had two, and now we have one, who every single citizen agreed is a complete and total failure. She is not ready for the job. She's not fit for purpose. She has done nothing, and crime has spiraled out of control. Bandits now using the country as a playground because they realize that Erla is a plaything. But what does Rowley do? He extends her again for a second time. Why? Because she's fit for purpose. What purpose? She's fit to Rowley's purpose. She's fit to do his bidding. She's fit to investigate who Rowley says to investigate. She's fit to not investigate Rowley's ministers. She's fit to take instructions from Rowley. That's Rowley's purpose. The Police Service Commission collapsed. People resigned. Rowley appointed a new Police Service Commission to tell Rowley and to dictate and send recommendations as Rowley wants, fit for purpose. Paula May Weeks, for whatever reason, did not want a second term. Maybe it was that on August 11, 2021, she was forced to do something against the Constitution, being a constitutional expert, an attorney, an expert who taught the constitutional law in the law fraternity, who was a High Court justice. Maybe it was that she was upset about having to do that and thwarting the merit list. But what did Rowley do? He found a president that was fit for purpose, one that preaches the gospel of the PNM, and he installed her at President's house. The chairman of the Integrity Commission was conducting his business as he should, as he took an oath on the Bible so to do, to ensure that public officials do not squander, steal, or corruptly enrich themselves, their friends, or financiers. And when investigations were launched into Rowley, when that commissioner's term came up, he was replaced. And who was he replaced by? Somebody fit for Rowley's purpose. The neighbor of Bridget Anisette George, the speaker, and Newman George, Rowley's best golfing friend, and of Pariah Heritage, and 7 different boards. It is the neighbor of Newman George was put in charge of the Integrity Commission because he is fit for Rowley's purpose. The central bank governor, Jawala Rambaran, was moved and fired, and you have to pay, the citizens have to pay him now because they wanted to put Alvin Hilaire, Rowley's neighbor in Gate, in the central bank. Why? Because that fit Rowley's purpose of control, of dictatorship, of tyrannical oppression. When the board of Petrotrin and the Minister of Energy, the own PNM minister who actually did her job correctly and did an audit into fake oil, she was removed and another minister was put fit for purpose, but he passed away, and Rowley put a even fitter for purpose minister, his own small pin minister, Stuart Young, who he travels all over the world with. He's fit for purpose, fit for Rowley's purpose, not fit for the nation's purpose. The first board of Petrotrin, who did an audit into fake oil and was trying to preserve and conserve your money and make sure it was not stolen, Rowley removed them and put them fit for purpose. Who you must do Rowley's bidding. That's what the purpose is. When he fired Winfred Espine said under oath in the Labour Court, I never told the cabinet, never told Keith Rowley to shut down Petrotrin. He was fired and removed because Rowley needed somebody fit for purpose. What's that purpose? Do Rowley's bidding. He shut down Petrotrin totally and put 11,000 workers, temporary and permanent, out of jobs. And he replaced that with Heritage and Pariah and put his own personal lawyer in charge of Heritage. Why? Because he is fit for purpose. And he put Newman George in charge of Pariah. Why? Because that's his best friend. They keep secrets. They work and hold each other's secrets together because they are fit for purpose. So Rowley has put people fit for purpose. And now in the SSA, he wants to return the SSA to the purpose for which he wants it. And he has therefore gone about a witch hunt to charge people and all the defense force, all the army, all the security services, all they be very careful. If you're taking a gun, log it back in, fill it out properly, make sure that your comrade, when he get that new gun, or they sign the forms, because Rowley coming after y'all. The Port Authority Board had found vessels, 11 of them. Rowley lied and said they did not. Why? Because they weren't fit for purpose. Rowley wanted to go with Stuart Young down to Australia to drink scotch and eat shrimps and then purchase 2 vessels from Incat and Austral and 2 cutlass vessels, over $1.5 billion. He wanted to procure without procurement, so the board was not fit for purpose. Same thing with the sport company and all those other agencies. They are not fit for purpose. Sport company was designed with engineers and so on to build, to construct, to tender sporting facilities. Rowley moved that under UDCUT, under Noel Garcia. So Noel Garcia is fit for purpose. He could build airport, health center, police station, hospital, fire station, Magnificent Seven, Red House, President's House, Prime Minister residence in Tobago, every community center and every sports stadium, as well as every house being built in Trinidad and Tobago is being built by Noel Las Alturas Greenvale, Rowley's friend, because he is fit for purpose. Now we see the Auditor General, the attack, because all of those people were fit for purpose. The purpose is Rowley's bidding. The purpose is control. The purpose is persecution. The purpose is corruption. And now we see an all-out attack on the Auditor General, trying to create a kangaroo court, an investigation to remove the Auditor General, who simply did her job, who simply wants the PNM government to account for money, who does not want to inflate the revenue figures. Why is Imbut so intent on inflating revenue figures? Two reasons. One, he told you he has it under control and he is so bright, when he is not, when he is a complete dunce, and the deficits have been growing, and your country, your future generations will have to pay back. And therefore, if the deficits are high and the revenue is lower, it will be harder for Imbut to borrow. The PNM borrows to steal. They borrow to steal. And if they cannot borrow, if they drop in the credit rating and borrowing becomes harder, it becomes harder for the PNM to steal. That's why they want to inflate, without substantiating documents, the figures in the Auditor General report. Also, why else are they fighting the Auditor General like this? Because they cannot account for the money. They cannot account for expenditure. The PNM has been procuring without procurement. They put their friends and family in every board. There's one lady, Ingrid Lashley, who, when we were in government under Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, trying to get 2% loans out to you, the people, to buy houses, first-time homeowners, she refused to implement. Vasan Bharat was unable to make her implement, and she continued year after year to not implement. When PNM won the election, they stole it to the EBC with an extra hour, and with lies on Emailgate, Ingrid Lashley was appointed to 9. I repeat, 9 PNM boards. She is a PNM hero because she thwarted the people's purpose. Kamala is about the purpose of the people, serving the people, putting the resources for the people. And that's the difference between Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and Keith Christopher Rowley. And now finally we see, in this entire investigation, we see this lady here. And this lady is very interesting, this figure. Her name now is DCP Suzette Martin. She was recently promoted to Deputy Commissioner of Police by the PNM. Who is Suzette Martin? And she is now in charge of the investigation into the SSA that Rowley said was so critical to national security that the charge that come on the 2 men is that they transfer 2 guns and some bullets. When men in the army go and train and shoot bullets and so on all over. If they didn't do the paperwork correct and that's a charge, so be it. But I do not see when bandits are running around with Uzi and AR-15, killing and kidnapping and murdering and jumping over fence. I don't see people in special forces, in agencies, in crime fighting, that is a threat greater over and above the threat of criminals and criminality in this country. But this Suzette Martin, you know who she is? She is the police officer that took instructions from people unknown to go to Barbados to inveigle the Barbados authorities to kidnap one Brent Thomas, because Keith Rowley created and continues to try to create the facade of something being wrong and amiss with FUL. Suzette Martin was the DCP who went to Barbados and kidnapped, with the help of Barbados officials, Barbados Constabulary, Brent Thomas out of his hotel room. He had written to the police saying, if y'all are investigating me and y'all are interested, I'm going to Miami for help. They knew where he was going. They sent Suzette Martin. Barbados has said, we are sorry. Mea culpa. They have admitted that they acted contrary to the law. They have admitted and they will have to pay Brent Thomas. Trinidad and Tobago is still appealing, and the appeal comes in June. But this Suzette Martin did the bidding of somebody, some minister, because no police officer could get on a plane, no CARICOM jet could fly into Barbados space and kidnap a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago without the authority of the minister, the cabinet, the National Security Council, the minister of National Security. But the truth will come. But in the meantime, Suzette Martin is fit for purpose. She fits Rowley's purpose. She did Rowley's bidding to go and kidnap Brent Thomas, and now she's in charge of this SSA investigation that Keith Rowley, a man whose track record I've just listed for you, is telling you that the SSA is not good for you. I put it to you that the SSA was good for you, and they refused to do the bidding, the illegal bidding of Rowley. And now they're being attacked and removed, just like every other independent institution. Anyone who stands up to Rowley is attacked and vilified. There's only one answer. There's only one thing that we can do. We must get rid of Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM. We must remove them from the political landscape across Trinidad and Tobago. We must vote with this finger, vote with a vengeance. We must riot with our fingers once he dares call that election, because this cannot continue. We are in the throes of a tyrannical, oppressive dictatorship, and the SSA is now another one down for the count. Good morning, God bless, and we're ready for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I have a question for MP Ram. Yes, MP Ram, you had mentioned about the differences in water scheduling in the different areas, and you were saying, is it correct that only in the UNC areas were there these 1 in 9 water scheduling arrangements? So can you just expand on that?
So what's happening is, when you look at the revised schedule that WASA puts out on their media and their marketing, you see that only UNC areas are on a schedule, and these schedules are not so great. They are 1 in 9, 1 in 10, sometimes 1 in 11, and these areas have been this way for, I would say, 3rd generation. I myself live in one of these rural communities, and my grandfather, he was promised water in 1960, a better supply. My father and now myself, we are 3rd generation, and we're still living in areas where the water supply is not so good, and we are on schedules and so forth, and it has really deteriorated in the last, I would say, the last 6 years under the People's National Movement. This is where they are taking us back many years, asking us to beg for water.
Final question for Senator Roberts here. It's a little bit off from your presentation, but it fits in perhaps with your fit-for-purpose remarks. In terms of, have you seen the social media post by Terence D'Alsting about the released kidnapped victim, and what are your comments on that?
Well, first of all, I would like to suggest that Terence D'Alsting, if you were hacked, please let us know. If your St. Joseph page as the MP for St. Joseph was hacked, please let us know. Because what we are seeing in and we have been looking at this page because St. Joseph is ready to get rid of you, Terence D'Alsting, and the PNM. And what we saw posted today, as Anissa Hossain was finally released, and the country breathed a sigh of relief, we saw the most heinous, disgusting, denigrating, disrespectful, hurtful comments on your St. Joseph page, stating that the family should give everybody free doubles now because she was released and she's saved. Please make a statement and tell us that you are not so callous, that you are not so idiotic, that you are not so heartless, that you are not so disrespectful to citizens who have gone through a trauma of the kidnapping of a loved one. Tell us that you were hacked. Terrence, Minister of Death, DLC.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Thank you very much, members of the media. I thank my colleague, Member of Parliament for Caroni Central, and to you, the citizens. A government must be there to serve you in every aspect. Keith Rowley's dictatorship is failing each and every citizen of every creed, of every race, of every religion. And it is time for us to unite and get rid of the PNM across Trinidad and Tobago, from Chagaramas to Macleod, through the middle of the country, through Couva, Caroni, down to the south, Mayaro, down to Point 14 and Labre. The yellow is the code. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who cares about people, cares about children, cares about you. Just look at her track record. It is time for change. Riot with your fingers. Have a great day. God bless.
We stand united in the belief that if you empower community, the community empowers the country.
We are the party that gave every child a secondary school education since 2001.
By building more schools in 11 years than others did in 40. We believe that no child,
Rich or poor, should be left behind.
which is why we give every Form 1 student a laptop to expand their minds and their dreams.
We are the party that put police cars back on the streets.
And gave the police a $1,000 bonus because we believe that we should support the persons who are protecting you.
We are the party that reduced the murder rate to its lowest in 14 years. We expanded GATE, stopped the property tax, and increased maternity leave.
We are the party that invested in you and your community by investing in schools, community centers, lighted parks, 24-hour health centers, and the most extensive road repair program in decades.
We believe that education is always a solution and that no one should have to pick between sending their child to school or buying food.
We are the party that works for you. We are the first responders in every situation, working to deliver a better standard of living for you and your family.
And most importantly, we have confidence in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a campaign, it's a movement based on building communities and strengthening families.
Come out and join us, and together we will get the nation working and moving again. Our children will once again have access to GATE and technology
We will improve healthcare.
by cutting the time it takes to see a doctor in an emergency. We will establish a senior citizen unit in every major hospital and staff the hospital with the doctors and nurses you need to create a first-class healthcare system. We will focus on creating high-paying jobs, fixing our laws to remove red tape, and ensuring that you and your family are safer. We will reduce corporate taxes to jumpstart the economy, create a special investment zone along the East-West corridor, and work with entrepreneurs to build a digital economy. This is an investment in your community to move the nation forward and get TNT working again.
Whether you are from 4th Street in Barataria to Railway Road in Dow Village, from Green Street in Tunapuna to Clark Road in Debe, from La Hoqueta to Moruga, from Mayaro to Scarborough, we are one people with the same dreams of a better tomorrow. And when we stand together, we win together. We are UNC and proud.